Minnesota Vikings defensive tackle play this year was the worst. The worst. Jaleel Johnson, who deuces out of town. Armand for Watts was Shamar Stephen, meh. And also they wouldn't play James Lynch. And for that, we thank you. But then watching the college football playoff, a guy who was a one-man wrecking crew against Ohio State and Notre Dame was one Alabama defensive tackle, Christian Barmore. That's right. That's right, but he's certainly a name that the Vikings fans should be intrigued by. But is 14, is that overdrafting him? So let's think and talk about it today. So Christian Barmore, man, 21 years old, 6'5", 310, former four-star recruit coming out of the Philadelphia area, class of 2018. Originally committed to Temple, staying at home, going to be an Owl, as well as would have been teammates with Harrison Hand for a season, but Saban did it again. Man, getting in that living room, talking with the parents, and just flipping kids all over the place. And committed to Alabama, went down to Tuscaloosa, redshirted in 2018, became a rotational player 2019 as a redshirt freshman, had 26 tackles, 2 sacks on 26 pressures. 2019, so the start of his season got delayed because he had a knee injury suffered in the offseason, but then came on, played 478 total snaps, generated 38 pressures and 8 sacks, including 7 pressures alone in the Notre Dame game. 89.9 PFF grade was the third highest for a defensive interior in college football, and was just a consistent force when the lights were shining brightest in the SEC title game against Florida, and then also Notre Dame, and then also against Ohio State. Oh, man. All right, so Notre Dame, like, they have an offensive line full of day 3 offensive line draft picks, and he just destroyed. Like, it was a man playing amongst boys, and it was not even that close. And also, he was a massive problem for Ohio State up front, especially once Wyatt Davis went out. So they just wrecked it, right? So pros. Agility. That's the thing that stands out right away. Besides his height, besides his size, besides his length. So his agility, he's only played 3 tech, but he does have that phone booth quickness, quickly blows up that B gap. And then also when it's outside runs, he takes really smart pursuit angles, doesn't get involved in the trash, really picks up his feet and stays moving laterally. High energy. So, I mean, that might stand out the most. Like, dude does not quit. Just find 58, and you're just going to find a guy who's consistently coming after you. Like, you're going to have to kill him, destroy him, get him off the field, because even if he has like a fingernail left, that fingernail is going to give it everything that you got. And that is really rare to see, especially when you see a physically gifted dude. Sometimes they don't always give 110%, but Barmore is definitely not one of those guys. Also, consistency on the rush. The agility, the speed, the high energy, that does all add up to a never quit attitude. Plus, conditioning does seem to be on point, and that's always a concern with defensive interior players, especially. Watch some of his fourth quarters, both last year and this year, some of the early season SEC games. When it gets hot, when you have a full hot and humid afternoon of smashing against NFL-level offensive linemen, and then you're just like, oh, he stays after it. Fourth quarter might be Christian Barmore's best quarter. Also, he's got that thick lower, stout. Even though he's 6'5", plays with great leverage, he will stand up any guard and then read a play if he's heads up. And even though he's played exclusively 3-tech, I think that you could see some either 1 or 0 tech in some sub packages where he's on the nose, still getting after it, and still playing 2 gaps. I think he does have that in him. Also, he reads offensive lines well. Guard crosses his face, or if there's movement up front, he reacts to the play well. Cons, it's sort of nitpicking since I really do like Barmore as an all-around prospect. Hands do need some refinement because of a light punch, so he's certainly not a knockout artist up there, but also that can easily be improved. Not too strong of a punch, so that does mean that you need more refinement in hand placement. Pass rush moves as well. So that's just coaching and experience. And a lot of pass rushers come in as even like dominant ones, like even Derek Brown from Auburn last year. Like, they don't come in with a full suite of pass rush moves, because in college you can dominate even high level college football with 1 or 2 moves, right? You're going to certainly need more in the NFL. Also, con against them, I guess, 2-year quote unquote starter. So he really only has about one season's worth of starting games. Like, he's only played 747 career snaps. But yeah, I mean, Barmore is still raw in a lot of ways. Like, he's not as polished as Quinnen Williams was coming out of Alabama, or Derek Brown last year coming out of Auburn. But he easily, could be up in that strata. He easily could be a top 10 pick in 2022 if you ran him back for another season. But I don't think he will as a redshirt sophomore. So you're betting on that upside. And pro comp, I see a lot of Chris Jones. I do. You see the tall length. I mean, Chris Jones is 6'6", but powerful lower body, helps with leverage, just an absolute disruptor. Also, rare agility. And Chris Jones is the $20 million defensive tackle and worth every single penny. And Barmore, is his ceiling Chris Jones? I mean, possibly. You could easily see that, right? So drafting a 14. So the showcase in the 2 playoff games certainly help. I think most analysts saw him as a fringe first-round guy in the mix with Davion Nixon of Iowa, as well as J.T. Fell from USC as potentially the first defensive tackle taken. But I think since Nixon didn't have a bowl game and Tufel was sort of whatever with USC and their Pac-12 schedule, I think that Barmore may jump to the front of the list, especially the way that he played down the stretch. And even though, we saw Barmore as a nice, high-end, well-rounded defensive tackle. Sort of, he's solid against the run, solid in pass rush, but not extremely elite. But then he did what he did against Notre Dame and Alabama. That will stick with you. It will. But with that playoff tape, and if he blows up at the combine, which I think he certainly will, it could easily rocket up his draft stock. So sticking and picking at 14, before the national title game, I think Vikings fans would have been like, no. Absolutely not. Maybe trade down and get him, maybe at the top of the second round. But now, if you add in the combine too, man, if they do have the combine, wow. So, frankly, I would be okay with it, but also you have to look at what potentially could be on the board. You may see Kwity Paye, you may see Gregory Rousseau, you may see Christian Darrisaw, you may see one of the big 5 quarterbacks available at 14. So, even though, again, I would be okay taking Barmore in this spot, if you have a trade down opportunity, if you're able to get into the 20s, still get Barmore and then pick up some draft sugar as well, I think you have to look at it. All right? But also, just sticking and picking, people forget how great it is to have a defensive force in the middle. Just, it makes everything easier. Like, if you have a disruptor inside, it makes it easier for the edge rusher, makes it easier for the linebackers, and also that pass rush is going to make it easier for the cornerbacks in pass coverage. But just because that quick interior pressure is the equalizer, because everyone still talks about getting around the edge, getting around the blind side. No, quarterbacks hate having pressure right in their face right away. Now, we had that to a degree. I mean, Sheldon Richardson was solid. Sharif Floyd, still my guy, had some flashes, but I mean, people forget how much easier life is when you have an unblockable defensive tackle like a Kevin Williams, who should be in the Hall of Fame, like a John Randall, like a Keith Millard, like an Alan Page. Barmore, man, he certainly has that upside. He certainly has that ceiling. And again, because of his lack of experience, because of his relative rawness, you are betting on the come, but man, if he hits his potential, or even like 75% of it, Vikings have a special player. But your thoughts? Christian Barmore, 14? Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support that work? Post on the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.